Because, I mean, Christ. And Jesus Christ, if he... I don't know, because I'm just getting a bit pissed now. There's nothing I can do about it. Hello lads, and welcome to yet another video. Now, a discussion has arose in the community in light of preview clips and whatever from the upcoming Christmas special Twice Upon a Time, and I thought it'd be sort of interesting to talk about. Now, the Doctor, in general, not specific to 12 or anything, the Doctor as a character in general, he's always had this sort of difference to him. He's always had this sort of quirky value to him which makes him more alien, and they've all had it throughout it, whether it's a sort of misunderstanding of, you know, social standards, or maybe sort of this irritable sort of egotistical sort of no-nonsense thing. It's always been there. They've always had this sort of character trait which stands him out from the crowd, and I mean, that's important to the Doctor's character. It shows him that he's alien. That makes the connection that he's so dedicated to the human race even better, if you will. And it's what makes him likeable. What makes him a lovable, unique character. But how do you portray that uniqueness? Because it's something very... you have to be tactical when dealing with it. I mean, how could you have him sort of misunderstand human culture? You could have him, like, sort of, I don't know, stir some tea with a whisk, or use safety pins as cufflinks or something. But I think we should all agree that it shouldn't come down to discrimination. There's been this thing around now that the first Doctor, David Bradley, the first Doctor in Twice Upon a Time, might have like a line of being a bit sexist by saying, "Oh, haven't you got an assistant to tidy the TARDIS up for you a bit? Ha ha ha." And apparently it shows the sort of how far we've come, because the Doctor was a sexist man back in the 60s, because that was the social standards back in those times, but we've progressed from then, and I'm all for progression. But, I mean, I'll get to it later. Let's talk about having that in there first. You've got this whole thing about having that line in there to show how far we've come and show how much Doctor Who's changed, and that's been done by having the first Doctor say something sexist, basically, and the 12th Doctor's going to step in and like, "You can't say that, we've developed as a society now and we've become better and more equal." But, I mean, if you watch the first Doctor's stories, he was never really sexist. He was just a grumpy old man who never, you know, if he was sexist, he wouldn't have women in the TARDIS, and he certainly wouldn't take them on adventures if he just wanted them to clean up. What a lot of people seem to forget is that the first Doctor wasn't a man from the 1960s. He was an alien, surprisingly, from another time, far in the future, presumably, apparently from the 42nd century, according to the first draft of An Unearthly Child script. So, you know, he'd sort of have an understanding. He'd be more developed than the human race. I mean, his race have developed time and space travel, for Christ's sake. They would definitely be more further developed in sort of society and sort of equality and all that jazz. And fine, it's, you know, fine to show that we as a society has progressed from the 1960s, and you know, it's fine to showcase that, but don't do it by sort of ruining a character from the history's past, because, you know, that's sort of a bit iffy, isn't it? Instead of having this, "Oh, let's have someone say a sexist thing and then another character shuts that down," how about have no one say a sexist thing if you really want to be progressive, and have this sort of thing of hope? Because Polly is confirmed, Ben and Polly, they're in it, and why don't you just have them have a conversation with Bill, and it's like, "Oh yeah, women are more equal now, like, we can do the same jobs as men, and it's all great and stuff. You can talk about what's changed since the 1960s, and then Polly can be like, "Wow, there is hope in the future." And it's not like Stephen Moffat hasn't done this before. In fact, my favourite scene from The Doctor Dances Unearthly Child, no, not Unearthly Child, An Empty Child, I'm getting confused with 60s and stuff, it's when Rose has a conversation with Nancy, I think her name is, and talk about how the British won the war and there is still hope. Just show that the future is going to be better, with that sort of hope from the companions, because that's what Doctor Who's about. It's about hope and, you know, for the future and all that crap. It's not about having one of the show's first starting Doctor, the one that gave us this show, the one that we wouldn't be here without, have him just slag off the females. And another thing that's been niggling me about this whole interaction to show how far we've come to treat women equally from 1963 to 2017 is that does Moffat really have the right to sort of portray this when he wrote the 11th Doctor's era, and a bit of the 12th to be fair? Series 5, we've had Amy sexually assault the Doctor, even when he more or less said no multiple times and she still advanced on him, which is a scene I'm still pissed about. I was when I first saw it and I am today. We've had the Doctor unconsensually kiss Jenny, even though he fully well knows their sexual orientation, but he still went ahead and do that, and that wasn't post-regeneration thing, that was a quirky alien thing. Oh yeah, sexual assault, love it. There was a few lines in Let's Call Hitler when Melody was concentrating on the dress size, and then there was that whole discussion when he was like, oh, why did she kill you? Oh, she's a woman. Then there's comments about how tight Clara's skirt is, and then there's the whole sort of slagging off Clara's body by saying she has a wide face and stuff like that, and constantly knocking her down for that. If anything, the 11th and 12th Doctors are more sexist than the first Doctor. So does Stephen Moffat really have the right to say, yes, we've progressed more how we treat women, when he's written like sort of conversations between the Doctor and Riversong, the Doctor and Tasha Lem, when he's had stuff like that in? Can he really end his era by saying, oh yes, we treat women perfectly now? Because, I mean, Christ, isn't he that just a tinsy, wincy, incy bit hypocritical there, Stephen? I'm sure Twice Upon a Time is going to be fine, but that conversation is not going to be a highlight of it, and Jesus Christ, if he find, I don't know, because it's already done now, it's already in the bin, it's already canon more or less, so there's nothing we can do about it apart from ensure that it doesn't happen again. And Jesus Christ, thank God we've got a female Doctor, and hopefully she's going to be written well, because we won't have any more of those conversations of like fucking sexually assaulting people. I mean, fine, Stephen Moffat wrote a black gay character, and he's written characters that are no nonsense and don't take any nonsense from the Doctor. I mean, Jesus fucking Christ. I'm just going to leave it there, because I'm just getting a bit pissed now. There's nothing I can do about it. Just have fun, see you next time, and just treat women okay, please.